Hello and I welcome you on Theater Cinema. Today I explain 2021 movie titled The Army of Thieves. First and foremost, a man senses via his strength while maintaining his grip on a locker. Within 30 seconds, he opens that locker. How did he pull it off? The flashback is now shown. A man named Sebastian appears on the scene, recording his video on his laptop. He proclaims in it that he will tell all of you a genuine story today. There was once a man who worked on the lockers. However, his entire family died. He created 4 more lockers after that, which were called the world's toughest lockers. No one had been able to open those lockers. That man was heartbroken at the loss of his family. As a result, he locks himself up in a locker. Many people tried and failed to open that locker, but no one was successful. As a result, the man died in the same locker. Finally, that locker was submerged in the water, serving as a coffin for that individual. Those 3 lockers, however, remained. What happened to those lockers? Who was the owner? Nobody is aware of it. Sebastian finishes his video by telling this story. He then uploads the video to YouTube. He then locks his locker and closes his eyes for a few seconds before unlocking it. He was actually learning how to open the metal lockers. He had also succeeded in partially unlocking the hard lockers. On the video of Sebastian, there were no views or likes. He had become irritated as a result of this. After that, Sebastian returns to the bank where he previously worked. Then, while shouting, a lady says something to him. "I come here every day, but my work is still pending. However, it should be completed today." Then Sebastian learns through a news report that zombie infection is spreading like wildfire over the city. A number of persons have been infected. The female had now begun to resemble a zombie to Sebastian. In fear, he passes up the check to her. After the task, that lady will go. Here, a female can be seen keeping an eye on Sebastian. When Sebastian has a bank account, he checks his YouTube channel once again. There was 1 view and 1 remark as well. It was mentioned, if you want to show off your skills, please visit the specified address. When you get there, say the password. Sebastian is delighted after seeing it. When he gets there, he tells the guard the password. The guard, who knows the password, then leads him inside. There was a competition going on there. Whoever unlocks the locker first will be declared the winner. It implies that he will win. Following that, the first round is began. Everyone opens their lockers. The 4th place is taken by Sebastian. After that, there is a semi-final round. There were 4 people in attendance. In addition, 2 participants will be eligible to compete in the final. In the semi-final, Sebastian comes in second. The audience was betting on the athletes as well. The final round begins immediately after this. The hard locker needed to be unlocked in 3 minutes. With the start of time, another person begins to open the locker. Sebastian, on the other hand, was unmoving. It indicates that he did not open the locker. He was more interested in watching his surroundings. When you have 30 seconds remaining, he detects the locker first by keeping his hand on it. He then succeeded in unlocking the locker in a matter of seconds. Everyone is taken aback when they see it. His opponent, on the other hand, is angry. As he approaches Sebastian, the guard then captures him and gets him out. Then he notices a girl named Gwendoline. When Sebastian sees her, he screams. He likes her after that. Gwendoline is, in fact, a thief. She's the same girl, too. Who else in the bank was keeping a watch on Sebastian? When Sebastian returns home, he keeps the given trophy beside his parents' photo frame. When Sebastian is having coffee in a restaurant the next day, Gwendoline arrives from behind before Sebastian at the same moment. Because of her unexpected appearance, Sebastian's coffee spills on him. However, seeing her there excites Sebastian. Gwendoline tells Sebastian, "I remarked on you!" so that I am aware of your abilities. She also informs him that, "I'm in demand. Many nations' police are trying to arrest me." Sebastian gets a bit scared when he hears it. Gwendoline then says, "I have a small task for you. We're going to steal the world, in which we must open those 3 lockers built by that elderly man. That old man who was also seen at the beginning of the film. He was the one who had built those tough lockers." According to Gwendoline, there is a lot of money in those lockers. Sebastian is delighted when he hears it, because he'd always wanted to get inside those tough lockers. We also have additional members, according to Gwendoline, and we're all going to steal together. She then walks away, handing him her business card. Sebastian thinks for a long time after arriving to the residence. Then he agrees to help Gwendoline. He moves to Gwendoline's residence the next day. He introduces him to other gang members there. A hacker dubbed Karina lived on the island. The second was a skilled driver, and the third was powerful due to his physique. Sebastian then says, "Will we all be 5 thieves? And we'll be tucked away somewhere else." Then Gwendoline signs it and adds, "Yes, a similar plan exists." Sebastian declares, "It is impossible to act because the cops will begin to suspect us." Gwendoline explains, "We are the crew of 5, so the cops aren't likely to suspect us anytime soon." Karina is now telling everyone about those 3 lockers. The first and simplest to open locker is in Paris, because there are no strong security measures in place. The second locker is in Prague, and it is more difficult to open. The third locker is in Switzerland, and it is the most difficult to open. And there are at least $100 million. Then Karina tells about that man as well. Who did the 3 lockers belong to? After that, they prepare to travel to Paris, where they all send Sebastian to the bank and demand that he explain the bank's procedures. Following that, Sebastian goes into the bank where he was so nervous. According to the plan, he hides in the lavatory. After, Gwendoline appears and takes the guard's key while ordering him to catch her bags. When she enters, she asks the receptionist to take her to her locker. That locker had been established for her under a false name. She then abandons Gwendoline near the locker location. Following that, Karina enters, who says counter people while diverting their attention. "My credit card has been stolen." She, on the other hand, brings Sebastian inside that locker after freeing him from the lavatory by lift. Having seen her, Sebastian is excited with anticipation, and he starts telling Gwendoline about his lockers. Next, Gwendoline urges, "First, unlock the lock." Following that, Sebastian tries to open a locker while paying for music. In this locker, there were 3 locks, and by hearing it, he is able to unlock the first lock. Following that, he unlocks the locker and opens the door. They're ecstatic because there's a lot of money in it, because they were successful in opening the first man's locker. Then they start stuffing the bags with the locker money. "Gwendoline," she says, "simply wait and see. This is only the start. There are 2 more locks to be found. Other lockers contain more cash." That big man enters after they finish their task. He diverts the attention of the others. Sebastian and Gwendoline emerge when given the opportunity. They exit the building, get into the van, and drive away. They are also excited. Officer finds that they have been stolen because Gwendoline and that strong man were caught on tape by the surveillance cameras. The senior cop then informs the other police that they, too, have stolen in the previous 5 years. They fled just as I was about to catch them before 5 years. I believe they have another member in their group, and I believe they will be able to flee after this. As a result, they steal other people's money. However, I will not abandon them. They're having fun after stealing the first locker. Sebastian then appears in Gwendoline's room. "My parents were quite aristocratic," as Gwendoline says of her. Their focus, though, was not on me. I met them at that moment and started stealing. Because of their chat, he was now feeling jealous. He liked Gwendoline in the past. The next day, they traveled to Prague. They arrived before the bank, which had another locker. Karina claims that this bank is technologically advanced. As a result, we will have to use extreme caution. Sebastian gets a bit scared when he hears it. Another senior officer, on the other hand, was keeping an eye on the bank, so he can apprehend them when they attempt to steal. On the other hand, Gwendoline promotes and explains Sebastian. Following that, Sebastian enters the bank, where he continues to use the false identity provided by Karina. Karina was also giving him advice. As he proceeds further, Sebastian notices 2 doors. He walks over to the left-hand door. He also uses an elevator to go close to the locker. However, the CCTV camera observer guards begin to suspect him. He didn't show up after entering through the door. Sebastian then approaches a closed door. Karina instructs him to move his finger as if it were a key. As a result, no one will suspect them. At that point, Karina hacks the door and opens it. Following that, Gwendoline meets Sebastian. Then they both start approaching the locker through the elevator. At the same moment, guards emerge and assault them. However, Gwendoline's magic renders the guards asleep. When Sebastian sees Gwendoline's boldness, he is taken aback. Guards also learn through CCTV cameras that the door's lock has been opened following the hacking. As a result, they shut all the doors. So Karina instructs the muscular man to employ the second strategy. At that point, the muscular man disguises himself and joins the band. He also threatens the receptionist with a gun, threatening to fill the bag with all of the money. As a result, he distracts everyone. That officer, on the other hand, finds nothing incorrect everywhere. As a result, he believes that something is wrong someplace. So he and his officers go into the bank and learn something. That locker has been moved to a different location. That cop is enraged after hearing that. So he travels to the branch with his officer. When Sip Aston is unlocking the other locker, on the other hand, something has gone horribly wrong. All other locks are likewise pushed as a result of this. Then Sip Aston tells Gwendoline that if any mistake is made, this locker would be locked permanently. He then attempts to open the locker once more. He manages to unlock 3 of the locks one by one, which is fortunate. Finally, the door of the locker is unlocked. They are all ecstatic after seeing it. In contrast, Karina tells her muscular partner, "Our goal is complete. You are welcome to arrive now." Guards appear at that moment to capture Muscular. He also gets a gunshot to the shoulder while fleeing. So he runs up to the van and jumps through the window. When that big man exits the bank, the crowd begins to depart as well. Sip Aston and Gwendoline also emerge from the bank when given the opportunity. They start running towards the vehicle. Sip Aston then places his suitcase in the van. First and foremost, that muscle forces Gwendoline to take a seat in the van. When he starts making Sip Aston's seat inside, he thinks to himself, if he stayed with us, he'd snare Gwendoline. As a result, he throws him out of the van. Everyone is stunned when they see it. That van, however, had driven from there at the time. Unfortunately, the police begin chasing Sip Aston. As a result, he begins to flee, stealing a bicycle along the way. Following that officer goes to that bank. He discovers that his locker has also been robbed. Furthermore, there is no proof on CCTV. It's completely vacant. That cop loses his cool when he hears it. On the other hand, Sip Aston boards a train to deflect police attention away from him. Gwendoline, on the other hand, asks that strong man, "Why did you behave in this manner? What was the point of throwing Sip Aston out of the van?" "We could be ensnared if I don't do this," adds the muscular man. "Otherwise, we have no need for Sip Aston, because we have a large sum of money. There is no longer any need to steal money for us." Gwendoline makes it plain that I'm not in this for the money. She gets out of the van, enraged. When she leaves, Karina becomes her partner. When he sees them, a muscular man yells to them, "Be out of here. I don't require your services." On the other hand, Sip Aston visits him at his home. Gwendoline and Karina have already been added. They also make Sip Aston nervous by startling him. "Sip Aston," they scream angrily. "What are you doing in this place? Get out of here." Gwendoline then informs him that our muscular buddy wants to participate on our assignment for the money. "I'm not in it for the money. I'm doing it to leave my mark on history. We can't open the third locker without you." Then, when they've agreed, Sip Aston remarks that I am also prepared to put a stop to my enthusiasm once it has been unlocked. They both start laughing when they hear it. On the other hand, they have access to the Sip Aston video on YouTube. So, after phoning his assistant, he informs her that they have hired this female to open the locker. However, he is an ordinary man with no criminal background, and once they do their task, they throw him out of the van. He was perhaps the most terrified right now, and we might be able to capture him now. We might also catch others. This allows us to deduce their mastermind's objective. They, on the other hand, travel to Switzerland for the third locker. Out of that gaming club, where is that cop standing? Because this gaming club has a third locker. An officer receives the signal from Karina at the same moment, who says we'll arrive to the gaming club at 5. As a result, when the clock strikes 5, that officer waits. Coming at the gambling club when the clock strikes 5, he says to the management, "That locker is at risk." According to the manager, "We understand. You were the one who informed us." That cop is taken aback when he hears it. That manager informs them that we got a call from you before 8 hours. That locker will be snatched up. As a result, we've moved the locker to a different branch. After then, the movie jumps to an 8-hour period. Karina had said on the phone to the management, "That locker will be snatched up." The management then summoned the guards, so she can move the locker to a different branch. However, the vehicle in which those guards are stationed, Gwendoline enters the vehicle. While striking, she renders both guards useless. After that, Sebastian and her arrive at the gambling club dressed as guards. They start driving away, leaving the locker in the car. Following that, the film shifts to the present, when that cop is once again provoked. And he and his policeman leave to begin their hunt. That strong man and his partner, on the other hand, are also present outside of that gambling club. After snatching the other lockers, who had arrived to get their share, at the same time, he is aware of Gwendoline's location. That he isn't present. It is also known as Karina, on the other hand. That their muscular spouse is becoming Gwendoline. She was close to that gambling group at the time. So Karina is approaching her companion to intervene. But his two companions, both big males, manage to flee till that moment. Unfortunately, Karina is apprehended by that officer. However, she informs Gwendoline at the very moment when our companion and a muscular male are also chasing you. After sending the message, Karina smashes her phone. While pressuring him, that officer says, "Tell me, what happened to your other companions?" Then his assistant stops her and says, "Karina, in exchange, we guarantee to constantly look for your brother." In reality, Karina adores her little brother. If she gets imprisoned, there will be no one to look after her brother. So she accepts their offer and presents them with Gwendoline. On the other hand, Gwendoline is driving the car, while Sebastian is attempting to open the locker. Because there are 7 locks on this locker, it was tough to open. After that, Sebastian plays music while attempting to open the locks. From there, he may open the 6 locks. Suddenly, a curve arises on the road, and Gwendoline sharply turns the car. As a consequence, Sebastian falls down, but after a battle, he manages to release the 7th lock. After unlocking all of the locks, he is able to open the lock. They're so thrilled about it that they can't wait to get started, because they were able to open all 3 lockers. After that, they start stuffing the bag with cash while pulling over to a safe area. The muscular man and the driver then arrive to get their part. The muscular man demands money from them while pointing a gun. However, Gwendoline flatly refuses. As a result, he shoots his gun at Sebastian. He didn't have a single bullet in his rifle, though. Gwendoline then says to him, while pointing a pistol at him, "I didn't load your rifle with bullets because I didn't trust you." She then ties both of them up with a vehicle. She then drives away in their car. Following their departure, the officer approaches them. He also apprehends the strong man and their driver. Sebastian and Gwendoline, on the other hand, reach the boat while running. The cop arrives there as well before they flee. With a gun pointed at them, you implore them to surrender. However, Gwendoline also has a gun pointed at him, and he tries to entice the officer by instilling a desire for money. The officer then responds, despite refusing to accept this offer, "For the last 5 years, I've been pursuing you to seize you. So seizing you will be my big achievement." So Gwendoline tells him, unable to believe it, "Okay, I give myself over to you. However, you must go from Sebastian. Since he is innocent, he isn't a criminal." The officer then agrees with Gwendoline. However, Sebastian bans him from leaving Gwendoline alone. Gwendoline then explains to him, "Please leave now. And when I get here, I'll come straight to you." Sebastian leaves after getting inside the boat, having been persuaded. That officer, on the other hand, seizes Gwendoline. Sebastian receives his passport as well. Gwendoline had created each of them their own passport. Then Sebastian starts to recall all of the times he spent with Gwendoline when he sees it. Following then, the scene shifts from here to a California scene. Sebastian has opened a business called Gwendoline Sales there. Meanwhile, 2 individuals arrive to meet Sebastian. They also feature a locker map. They inquire of Sebastian, "Are you able to open this safe?" Sebastian exclaims joyfully upon seeing them, "Yes, I'm able to open it." The film ends with this mysterious conclusion on this scene. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe our